Hey guys, I'm here to get ready to get Wild on his third walk, and today I have a helper, Cheyenne, who will be walking a little Vizsla, adolescent, puppyish, crazy guy to see if we can trigger some reactivities in Wild, and we'll work through that. And hopefully with the last two walks that we have a better foundation to start with so it's not so chaotic, but we never know, and we'll just work through it, and I'll talk you through all the things that I'm doing and that's going through my head and why I'm doing what I'm doing. So stay tuned and walk on with me. Hello. We have a dog that's walking with us, so we'll see how it goes. Yeah, you're coming with me today? Good. So he obviously sees the dog across the street, and we don't have any barking, which is fantastic, but not connection. He's going to go through the motions. So my expectations are still the same. No pulling. I don't want him in front of me. And there's the dog across the street. This is what normally starts happening. And I believe that it's the anxiety of everything with dogs, and he has had some successes getting away from his owner, pulling her over to dogs just because he's so big. So but we can handle. Before, he would have been barking the whole time. My leash is through my thumb, hands, and I'm centered up to my chest, so again, my overall expectations is just no pulling. So I'm just going to stay centered and focused as they work on things. You're okay. He's in training, so this is good. We'll just work through it. Hi. Good. just barely 2. Good. Hey, 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 good. Whew. So I'm just going to do some left turns into him here. Really tighten up on the leash as I do. Anytime he looks over there, I'm going to go left at this point and just regroup here. And the reason why I'm not is because I'm not getting the pulling on the leash. He's dropping his head a little bit. I'm going to tighten up, go left. Tighten up, go left. Correct back, go left, right on into him. I'm not making a big circle, I'm just going left. And through all of this, we still have little Blue across the street walking with Cheyenne. So as you're training and you're working on things, sometimes it's good to get a friend or a neighbor that will help just by staying consistent with you on the walks. And that they're always just there and he becomes a constant through it. And as Wild gets better, then maybe we can walk a little closer. I'm not allowing him to pee because it's just a marking, releasing behavior and it's inappropriate. So hopefully in this 30 minutes or so, we will have some successes and he'll finally surrender into this, that there's another dog present with him. So everything from the first walk to the second walk, I'm staying consistent with. Nothing has changed for me. Obviously his energy has changed and he could pull me over if he wanted to, but I'm staying centered and I'm not talking to him. I'm not giving him the support or direction. He's just getting pressured and released from the leash and I stay centered. So if he makes the wrong move, I'm going to appreciate what he has to give me and redirect it into a more formal heel position by turning left. Again, not talking to him, not saying anything to him, not giving guidance. I don't necessarily like how far ahead he is and that I am getting a little bit of pressure, but it's better than what it was to start with. So I'm going to do some back and forth, go right, go left. I'm going to go right. I'm going to go left. Got a dog up ahead. I'm going to go right. That's not on leash. And I'm going to go left. And he's going to head into one of the trailheads here. So I was supposed to walk him later, and I'm glad I walked him earlier today. And go right. And go left. Again, I don't really appreciate the tautness of this leash, but he's not pulling me over. The leash is just taut, and I always have to find a baseline or a starting point that I can accept and work with instead of battling everything and expecting him to be right at my side and being more structured. So I'm just going to appreciate where my baseline is, because we still have Blue across the street walking parallel with us. And it tends to, when Blue goes behind the car and waits, then he tends to get a little bit more revved up when Blue disappears and then reappears. So it will be definitely, as we come through this little alleyway here with the trees and everything, that when we all reappear, what he gives us. So we're coming up on a trailhead to the right. Dogs potentially could be coming down from it, but there's not today. He definitely has hiked here, so he's aware of this. That's where he wants to go, and that's not what we're doing. And at least today, the second part of our walk will not be in the dark like video 2. I'm now going to just change my pace a little bit, slow down, get him thinking. I don't like the pressure. I'm giving a little pressure and correction. So I'm going to slow down. When I get a taut leash, that's telling me that the dog is feeling me through the leash and is no longer accountable for a position or an expectation of the walk. And so it's important that I don't allow any more than that right there. And he's finding that. And I'm just going to, again, I'm changing my pace. I've slowed down quite a bit. If you're wondering as far as the correction that you give and what I'm doing, I would suggest you watch my leash walking video prior to watching these 3 walks, so all of this makes a lot more sense to you, and may answer some questions that you have. But if you have questions, let me know. I'm kind of at a slower regular walk while still fairly jazzed, kind of flipping his ears around. So I'm going to now at this point, I'm going to go back to going and go right, and then I'm going to go left, and then I'm going to go right, and I'm going to go left, and I'm going to go right, and I'm going to go left, And then I'm going to pick up my pace and jog a little bit just to get his mind on to me. And then I'm going to go and just come back to a regular walk. I'm going to go slow. And you can see he's definitely not as responsive as he was the other night when I changed paces. There we go. A little bit better. I'm going to go slow. Again, his mind is still on Blue, who's across the street walking parallel with us. And I haven't changed. I haven't added any attention over to Blue. I've stayed consistent. All 3 walks with Wild, I've stayed super consistent of my expectations and my demeanor overall. And that's one thing that tends to happen is we get frustrated and kind of lose it a little bit, or we just don't want anything to do with this, and this is frustrating and it's awful and nothing's changed and he's worse today than he was the day before. And you have to look at every day is a new day. Every day has new smells, new action, new distractions, and so every moment is new. And so that's why it feels like sometimes it may be Groundhog's Day, sometimes it just may be that he's better, and you continue to stay consistent and you should have better days than worse days. However, if you take a break in between walking in the next 30 days, your progression is going to be much slower and you're going to have more bad days before you get into good days. So I would suggest, if you can, 20 to 30 minutes for the next 30 days, staying consistent and exposing different times, different days. Don't go the same time every Wednesday. Change up your Wednesday time. Change up your Monday time. Change up your Sunday day when you go for walks so that you can stay consistently inconsistent with your walks. And what I mean by inconsistent is your time of day that you're going. Leave it. Hey Cheyenne, you can kind of slowly head back. We'll catch up to you just so we can come upon you. Again, sometimes it's hard to find dogs all the time, and so bringing a dog along is leave it. I know. And he's still a puppy. Having somebody else come along, and maybe if you have a handful of friends that have dogs, that they can join you, not walking next to you unless your dog is ready. That you can maybe line up different people to walk with you a couple of times during the week, if that's possible, so that you can get the needed exposure. Because in general, you'll have the same dogs during the same time, if you will, for the most part. So I'm going to start getting a little bit closer to Blue without getting run over, not being on the sidewalk. So Blue is now up ahead of us. quite a ways up ahead, if you can see him up there. And so Blue's focused behind, paying attention to us. And so now we're in the catch-up zone. So now he's out in head, and I'm gonna pick up my feet really big and step and make it uncomfortable for him to be in front of me. If I step big instead of shuffling, then I'm not gonna step on toes, I'm just going to bump him. And you can see him working his way over. And I'm just gonna stay stepping big. Again, I don't like, in general, in dog training world, that he is that far ahead of me and the leash is more taut than I like it to be, but we have to start somewhere. And when we say here's our starting point, we can work with that, then training shifts. So the next steps from here, I'll try and video as we go, but I'll be working with the owner, and we're going to go back to quite a bit of food in getting him back where he needs to be. But we need to work through this stuff, so we have this as our baseline as we come across dogs. So we'll give her probably a week, this next week. Then we'll pick up some lessons the following week. And then he's going to be with me so over Christmas. So we'll be working with him pretty consistently over Christmas to get this better. But if we can keep this as our baseline, I'm okay with that. I know we had the explosion with all the dogs at that one house, but it still was less barking, and I appreciate that piece of it. So I've crossed over and now walking directly behind Blue. I'm going to say probably 100 yards. So he's definitely looking for Blue. Blue's gone up and around the bend. So you can feel his energy change there because we've just got Blue back in sight. I'm going to increase my speed a little bit. Sorry for the motion. I hope it's not making you motion sick. I'm going to walk. So you can see that Wild really prefers a faster pace. Doesn't mean that we have to give it to him. See that, even that correction, he braced against it because we were getting closer to Blue, so he's not really focused a lot on me. He's trying to catch the smells and who Blue is and trying to figure all of that out. And then we're coming up to the crazy dog house if they're still out. So we'll see how that goes. You can see just overall energy has shifted for sure. But I'm not changing me. Where a lot of people go, oh, we've got to brace, we got to hold on. We're heading into this craziness and I don't know what he's going to do, or we know what he's going to do, and it's not very fun. So you can see him anticipating. He's trying to turn me around because that's how we teach walking. And so I'm going to be super inconsistent about my backing up, making him commit. And if he goes forward like that, I'm going to back up again. I want him waiting for me to make that step forward before he goes forward. So he wants me to go forward. He wants me to go forward. He's anticipating. And I'm looking for that pause. Now, I don't teach a pause when I'm teaching leash manners, but to get a dog to get connected with me through this, where he is clear about what the rules are. He's very clear about what the rules are. And because he's trying to get me to go forward, then I'm going to take a pause, some longer than others, but I'm not going to ask him to sit. I'm not going to ask him to obedience. I'm just going to get that pause. And again, I don't want him pulling my arm any away from my body at all. So here comes our Christmas house. Something else I want to say is you notice that for the last 2 days, I've gone on the same walk and done the same thing. And I would recommend that when you're first starting out. We had a great walk yesterday overall, and then we added in this crazy chaos all the way around. And so staying on the same street helps familiarize, and I call it a comfort block. And create a comfort block where you at least know you can get a good walk in, no matter what the distractions are, on that block or that street. Leave it. Good, good. Good. Leave it. Good. And everybody across the street is helping him be successful. Leave it. Leave it. And I'm just happy that we're not getting the barking. Good. Leave it. I'm staying forward. Not talking to him about it. Just going straight, and I wish you could have seen that because he literally just ran into the tree because he was focused on the other dogs. The reason why I had Cheyenne move forward with Blue is, as much as you can, you want to end on a calmer note and not letting him be, that's the last thing that he remembers seeing and getting himself all worked up. So I just had Cheyenne, I just waved her ahead to put Blue away so that we can end on the same note that we've ended on every day that we've walked. Sometimes that's not the case. Sometimes it's just a perfect storm and you're back home and there's a dog right at the front of your house or whatever. But like what's coming up right now is we have two dogs that are right in front of his house. And so I'm just going to cross the street and we're going to try and stay super just calm and consistent, and we've got several dogs coming up, so we're going to try and end on a note that's better than what potentially could happen. So I'm definitely not going to go back to the crazy barking house, and I'm going to try and they're hanging out on the corner across from his house. Isn't that funny that as I was talking about it, it happens, and that's really welcome to the world of dog training. So we're just going to stay calm and quiet and just, he sees the dogs over there, but he's actually a bit more connected to me. So we'll see if we can get up to his yard without changing this demeanor. Now he just really noticed them. So we'll just keep working through this. So there's a pack of 3. And I don't have anywhere to go other than back and forth. So that's really going to be me staying consistent and ignoring what they're going to offer me. So I'm going to increase my speed past. I'm tightening up and increasing my speed past to get past their chaos. And then we're going to walk up and see if we can end it better instead of ending it there. Again, I wasn't verbally saying anything to him at all. Let's get connected back here. So that's how you handle that situation. You get to a point where you can get past it by increasing your speed and making sure you have the correct distance that you need when possible. Sometimes you just have to tighten up and get past it. But my recommendation is to tighten up and get past it. Whoa. Hey guys, we are finishing the 3rd walk with Wild, and we still have a long way to go. But I hope that you learned a lot as far as getting through things, not getting frustrated, staying focused on your dog, and staying consistent with your walks. Please, if you have any questions, holler and stick with me, because I will have Wild through Christmas and we will continue to work on this, and the goal would be by the end of December that we are able to walk past dogs with no problem. So stick with us, and I hope to teach you more, but I hope you learned a lot too in these last 3 walks.